Hello everyone. It's almost 2 months since the official release of the pilot episode of The Amazing Digital Circus, but we still haven't received any hints or clues for the next episode. And we can remember the speed with which the views of the pilot episode grew 2 weeks ago, and what we are seeing in the last few days screams that our Amazing Digital Circus is not as popular as it used to be. But I want to apologize to you for such a loud title of this video. But to understand this topic, I really want to understand if it makes sense to wait for the continuation of our favorite series, and if so, when it will be, or if it will happen at all. You may remember that Gooseworx themselves said that there will be 8 episodes in the season, so you can not worry. But if you remember in detail, they said about 8 episodes in case they make a decision about the continuation of the series, and nobody has officially announced anything about it yet. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment below the video. And here we go. Our video will be divided into parts to give you a better understanding of what is going on. First of all, I would like to talk about the author's policy towards this year's loudest indie animation, Amazing Digital Circus. I would like to say that, according to the authors themselves, they did not expect their project to be so popular, which is why the pilot episode was the only one they prepared. After all, the production of such a large-scale animated series requires a huge amount of money, and no one in their right mind would take such serious risks without being sure of the success of their project. We all understand that the creation of such a large and detailed series takes years. Well, if we are talking about the whole season and the production of one series, taking into account the script, the process of creating the animation, post-production, original voiceover, dubbing, and even the banal optimization of the video on YouTube will take at least 3 to 4 months. But if you are not working all the time and at a very fast pace, you still have to wait about 2 months. But we started talking about the company's policy, which I find very strange. After all, judge for yourself. The series has gained huge popularity, but this is the internet, where almost every day there is some new high-profile event, and in 2 months we have already experienced a lot, even if we take the most high-profile event of last week, the GTA 6 trailer. And in the midst of such a rapid flow of popular stuff on YouTube and the internet in general, Gooseworx and Glitch are still keeping quiet about the new episode. Even the smallest leak, a photo or a 3-second glimpse of the animation process would have given new life to our digital circus. If each new episode of Amazing Digital Circus were 1-2 minutes long, there would be new episodes every week, or even more often. But the Glitch team is aiming for long, full episodes of 20-30 minutes, with a huge amount of detail and plot twists. I want to reiterate this to finally realize that without leaks, with a release schedule of episodes every 2-3 months or even more, the audience's interest will be completely lost over time. Even look at Glitch's previous project, Murder Drones. The pilot episode came out, the hype started, and after that, nothing but silence. And the result was obvious to everyone. No one had any interest in continuing the series after a year's absence. I really hope that Glitch took that into account at the time and will try not to make the same mistake now. Also, if we look at the Google Trends graph of viewer interest, we can see that the peak was exactly 1 month after the release of the pilot episode, and then a slow and gradual decline. And the level of viewer interest is now at 19 October, which was expected, but unfortunately, no less frustrating to watch. So you found out that audience interest is one of the main factors that will most likely decide the fate of the Amazing Digital Circus sequel. According to all of the above, we can safely say that interest in the digital circus, as well as in all popular things on the internet, is gradually declining. Nevertheless, in addition to the official channel where Amazing Digital Circus is published, there are many fan channels with various animations that try to keep the interest in this project as high as possible, and it is thanks to them that interest in the pilot episode is still being maintained. But again, this is only temporary, because when people lose interest in the official episode, the fan animations will stop appearing and the popularity of the digital circus will finally end. Yes, we can blame the writers for not releasing the next episode, for not giving us any clues as to what will happen in the next episode, but you can't forget that the pilot episode of Digital Circus alone has had 170 million views so far. If you take out the shorts, which had 75 million views, and subtract that from the total number of views on the channel, you get 415 million views, which means that the amazing pilot episode of Digital Circus alone accounted for 40% of the total number of views. Do you realize that? That's almost half the views in just a month and a half. Of course, even if the audience's interest wanes, it doesn't change the fact that we'll see the next episode 90% of the time. After all the secrets that were revealed in the Amazing Digital Circus pilot, even if a person is no longer interested in the concept and idea of the series because they are burned out from waiting, they will still click on the new episode just out of curiosity and maybe watch it to the end. And there will be a huge number of them, I am sure, because the popularity of this or that event is a very correctable thing, and since many prophesied the loss of popularity of the digital circus in mid-November, it is worth thinking about whether everything is so bad. But let us not be too hasty, because we have only touched on the part that is directly related to us, namely the interest of the audience and, as a result, popularity. But that's just one of the factors we're going to talk about in this video. We also can't neglect to mention a subject like finances. After all, the financial issue can have a direct impact on both the release date of the next episode and, more generally, on the release of the next episode or season. After all, it costs tens of thousands of dollars to produce a project of this magnitude, as 3D animation in general is expensive and the digital circus is a benchmark of animation, with Gooseworx working primarily on it, but other animators also helping to create some scenes, like the scene with Jax and Zubul. And the payment for voice acting or dubbing is also not the smallest. But don't worry, in addition to the monetization of the video itself, merch has been released, the income from which I think has already covered the cost of creating the pilot episode, as well as the creation of the next episode, if not the whole season. So the Glitch team should have no problems with that, so at the moment we have every chance of the series continuing. But this is just us talking about the next episode, but what happens if we think more globally, like the whole season? And this is where the question might arise. As I said, any popular event sooner or later ceases to be interesting. Fortunately for us, the digital circus is still riding a pretty high wave of popularity, despite all the assumptions to the contrary, because it still attracts around 3 million views a day. Even if we're just talking about popularity on YouTube, this is still a very high figure, because it's been almost 2 months, which means that when the next episode is released, if it's soon, say within 2 months at the most, ideally before the new year, the wave of hype will rise again to incredible heights, giving new life to our favorite and terrible digital circus. But if it takes 6 months or a year, which I really don't want and fear, then the new episode won't be even 15% closer to the result of the pilot episode. And in such a case, the income will be much lower, and therefore the opportunities for realization will be much less, which may also affect us. Because if the bar is raised to such a high level, and I'm not just talking about the plot or the animation, but everything that has to do with the circus, it will be much harder or much longer to get such a result at a lower cost. And in that case, the series may lose its quality, which in turn will affect the interest of the audience. And in this case, we will get a vicious circle that will not lead to good results. In fact, the series will not be closed or cancelled, but in practice, its results may be very poor. We already know that it will continue and that we will see at least 3 or 4 more series, because the budget will allow us to do it without going into the red, while maintaining the same interest in the story and the same high and quality level of animation. I'm sure that the interest of a part of the audience will be maintained in a year or two, because there is always a loyal fan base that will help their favorite series to return to the Olympus of popularity. And the fact that The Amazing Digital Circus was the #1 video on YouTube just a month ago speaks volumes. So I reassure you that we have nothing to worry about, but only for the moment. The digital circus is doing quite well, despite a slight lull, which means that the authors have no intention of stopping the series. But how long do we have to wait for the date when we can see the long-awaited video with the second episode of The Amazing Digital Circus on the main page of the Glitch channel? I'm serious about the leaks. It's about time we gave the fans something new about the digital circus, because we really miss it. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and it's time for me to wish you success and good luck and say see you in the new videos that will appear every 2 days.